Hey everybody, Dr. Tuck with Tuck Pulmonary. Tonight we're going to talk about concerts, COVID, and public health theater. Happy New Year. Okay, so I just wanted to put out a video just about an interesting phenomenon. New Year's Eve is coming up here, and it's a time when people obviously like to get together and hang out in small, medium, or large-sized crowds often. And concerts are a big deal, usually around New Year's Eve. So I'm actually going to a concert tomorrow on New Year's Eve, and this kind of involves that. So I just thought it was interesting. There's a few different bands that I'd like, and they all have a little bit different policies or procedures that they're doing to respond to COVID and how to have hopefully a good time on New Year's Eve. And I just think it's interesting, so I wanted to go through with them. None of them chose my preferred policy, which I'll talk to more about at the end of this video. So first I just want to talk about Phish. Phish always makes a big deal about New Year's concerts. Lately it's been kind of a tradition where they will put on a 4-night stand at MSG, and they're always awesome, and I've never been there, and hopefully someday I will be able to get to go. But they canceled their shows shortly before Christmas. Now it's interesting because I think they were already requiring either proof of vaccination or a negative COVID swab. They say they're doing this for the health and safety of the fans, crew, and venue staff. Now, this doesn't make any sense. They were already requiring proof of vaccination or a negative COVID swab. I think the vaccines are effective to prevent severe illness, and I think that's holding so far from Omicron. We'll see if Omicron turns out to be less severe than the Delta strain, but I think the jury's still out, at least in the States, for that. So all these folks have had the chance to be vaccinated or get COVID already and get some immunity through that, and then the ones that aren't are going to have a negative COVID test. So to me, there's essentially little to no danger of somebody's safety being threatened by going to this concert, other than the risky behaviors that people often engage in at these shows. So that didn't really make sense to me. Now they do say later on that they are worried about accelerating the transmission of the virus. That is a hypothetical concern, but it just seems silly. If they were worried about that, they should have canceled it 6 weeks ago. So didn't make sense, but I'm sympathetic. I mean, this it's a big deal. It freaks people out. Our little health system in southern Wisconsin, I think we have more intubated patients now than we ever have throughout any of this. So I understand people being freaked out. I think this is a decision, though, driven by more panic and kind of alarmism from our public health officials, though. The next show is interesting to me because I'm going to it tomorrow. I'm going to the Goose concert tomorrow, the day before New Year's. This, I think, is being driven. This is the theater's policy. It's not necessarily the band's policy. So this is the Riviera Theater in Chicago, and they're requiring a proof of vaccination or a mask mandate. Now, again, hypothetically, this means that the people going to that concert are going to be in minimal danger than they otherwise would be. But maybe I'm doing this a little bit out of order because now that I'm thinking about it, I think this is my least favorite policy. This is public health theater. This is silly, and it's the vaccine status that is particularly silly. If you swabbed everybody going into that concert, you'd be pretty well assured that very few of the people are carrying or spreading COVID, but the vaccinated people are spreading COVID. So they're going to be spreading it around at this show, and having been vaccinated isn't going to protect the people around them. It just doesn't look like it does that, at least not to a significant effect, or I should say at least not to a effect that I think would warrant the policy. So I think this is just theater. So this might be actually my least favorite, although at least they're having a concert, so that's what gets it the bump above Phish. So the next one is the Disco Biscuits. I haven't seen the Disco Biscuits in forever, but they're doing a New Year's show, and this to me is the least worst policy because they're actually setting up COVID testing, rapid COVID testing for everybody as they're going in. So, so everybody going in there is going to have a negative swab. So I think they should have much fewer transmissions than they would at a concert that's using the Vax passport as a substitute for that. Now, obviously, that is that requires some logistics and some planning and some inconvenience for everybody going in there. And ultimately, that's why none of these policies would be my preferred policy. I think we're at the point, again, even though this Omicron is surging all over, that everyone's got a chance to be vaccinated if they want to. People that can't get vaccinated, or if the vaccine's going to be ineffective, they've got the option to not go to stuff like this or to wear an effective mask. And I think that's about all you can ask for public events like this. I think if we keep going on like this, there's never going to be a normal again, and I think it's ultimately a waste of energy. So my preferred policy would honestly, at this point, to be letting people do whatever they want, except in extreme cases where the intensive care units are at capacity and ventilators are on a premium, and that could be part of this, but that's not what's going on here. These are blanket responses to blanket situations, and but anyway, I hope whatever you're doing on New Year's, that you're safe and have a good time and encouraging 2022. So I will see you next year.